This video is sponsored by Chomps.
I got a lot of people asking if I ever have Bigfoot encounters. The answer has always been no. But I had some sort of visitor after dark at camp last night.
Have fun.
All right.
Your Uber will be here soon.
See you in 3 days. Hey everybody, Syntax 77 here. And let me tell you what the current situation is as my wife drives away and leaves me here for the next 3 days with you. Love you too. I am currently in the Pacific Northwest. More specifically, Oregon, at the base of Mount Hood, which is the biggest mountain around here, tallest in Oregon, I do believe, at about 11,200 feet or so. Right now, at this trailhead, which is the Paradise Park trailhead, I am at about 2,800 feet. We're gonna go about 8 miles into the wilderness here, gain about just under 3,000 feet of elevation gain to get up around 5,800 feet and find some camping. Gonna make a little base camp there, spend both nights in an area called Paradise Park, hence the Paradise Park Trail that I'm on right now. It's a big meadow area, kind of a triangular shape, encroached on each side by the mountains, or the ridges, I should say, of Mount Hood. Should be a good time. We're just going to play it by ear, do a little exploration out here in the woods. And it is quite a moody day here in Sasquatch country. Foggy, rainy. It's been raining all morning, so I got a little bit of a later morning start. But the rain has stopped, and I think it's going to stay that way for the remainder of the trip. And the clouds and fog should lift as the day progresses, which I would welcome quite a bit, because the area we're going to set up camp has a very nice view of the peak of Mount Hood, which we'll be about halfway up on, around 6,000 feet. So there's still going to be another 5,000 feet above us. It still has snow on it. It's pretty cool. I've been staying right in town, only about 10 minutes away from here for the last week or so. And it's a really cool area with constant views of Mount Hood looming over top. So I'm looking forward to actually getting up on it a bit. Let's see here. Looks like we cross a bridge over the Sandy River, which I'm familiar with. Actually runs right behind the place that we're renting in Mount Hood Village. Let's check it out. Yeah, it's flowing pretty good. I think we're gonna make a right up here. And the trail's pretty wide right now, which is good, because I'm hoping that the sunlight comes in at some point and burns off some of this moisture from the rain before the trail gets too tight. Wouldn't want to get soaked. The temperature range on this trip, well, today I don't think it's going to go much higher than the 50s. That's the forecast. And we'll be about 3,000 feet above the forecast. So subtract 3 degrees for every 1,000 feet. It could be in the 40s up there. And it's supposed to go down into the 30s tonight, possibly touching freezing. Depending on our elevation. It is August right now, but we got a little bit of a cold front that came through and brought this rain, and it's making things, from what they say, about a month ahead in terms of coldness. It's more like fall kind of temps right now, mid-fall temps than it would normally be. But just look at that mossy Pacific Northwest vibe in here. These big old growth trees. And believe me, there will be bigger ones than this as we go along, but they're just huge. And looks like our first switchback, a little bit of elevation is beginning. And speaking of elevation gain, we're going to be getting it pretty constant this whole day. The area I'm going to, Paradise Park, is supposed to be one of the most beautiful spots on Mount Hood, and it's definitely no secret. But the route I chose is probably one of the less traveled, less popular trails. I think most likely because there are more direct routes, shorter routes to get to where we're going. And this particular route, like I said, it just starts going up and doesn't stop for the entire 7 or 8 miles. On top of that, another factor that might make it a little less often picked is at the end of the trail, the last mile or so before we cross the PCT, is a section of, some say on some reports, impassable trail due to a storm about 6 years ago to knock down a bunch of trees. So there's a bunch of logs and whatnot. We'll see how that goes, how much we have to climb over and under some logs. I could not find any reports from the last couple years saying if they managed to clean any of that up or not. The best I could find was the Forest Service website, which does still call it impassable, but there's still people using this trail, so I don't know. We'll see what kind of adventure awaits on that. Wow, it is just awesome in here. And wow, man, look at that. That's not even a big tree, but look at the root system on that thing. Whew. So imagine what the roots look like if that guy came down. And I guess we'll probably see something like that as we go. Here's some logs that have been cleaned, cut apart. That's nice. Of course, we're only a quarter mile from the trailhead, so the trail maintenance might not quite be the same after 5 miles into the woods. It's getting quiet as we leave the Sandy River behind. Looks like we got an info board here. Might be the registration for camping as well. Let's see. Yep, Mount Hood Wilderness. And here's a map for you. So we're here. All right, came right from the parking lot there. So a little bit of progress. Now we're really getting into the trail. We were basically on a logging road for what it felt like. But we're going to go straight up here. And then PCT crosses here. And up in here is where we're going to be doing our exploring in what's called the Paradise Park region. Right there, it's listed. Now it's kind of on the edge. And then there's a couple trails. They aren't listed on here, but they're on my maps that go up about another 1,000 feet. So maybe up to close to 7,000 feet on the side of Mount Hood. But I don't know how they are in terms of snow. But we'll check that out on day 2 as a little day trip. See how far we get before we hit the snow line. Free permits under the lid. All users require a permit beyond this point, but they are free. Let's see if there's, oh good. So does that mean they don't enforce it or what? This is a second box like this. We did a day hike the other day, my wife and I, and same thing. They had one of these and it was empty. So I guess they're not keeping up on it. There's not too much I can do about that. I got a little Fisher Space Pen, but I don't have any paper to write on. So I don't know, maybe I'll find a scrap of paper and pop it in there for compliance, but they're not really making it easy for me to do that, are they? Oh well. Anyway, here the trail continues and it looks like it's starting to narrow and get a little more trail-like. Got my new hiking shoes, trail runners, same ones I had before, the Wildcats, but I got brand new ones because the reason I'm out here in the Pacific Northwest, I was further north. I was supposed to be meeting my friend Kyle. He's been trying to complete the PCT. This will be his 3rd season. Every time he gets up around here, he gets knocked out by wildfires. And I was going to meet him for the last 170-mile section. We were going to try to do it over the course of 10 days, but once again, wildfires. Pretty severe one right by one of our resupply towns called Akin. And when we were planning our trip, Kyle had flown out to Northern California. He mopped up a section there, and then he was going to fly to Seattle and meet me. But over the course of him doing that Cali section, this fire popped up while we were planning. It was probably a couple thousand acres. And at this point, it's up to 38,000 acres. It's actually burnt past the town. The town's on a lake. It's completely surrounded in fire, except for the lakeside. Just crazy. Kept burning past the town and actually shut down multiple sections of the PCT. So it was just a no-go, and it was really smoky up there. I was staying there in the RV, my wife and I, and even just walking around town was really irritating. So we had to scrap that. Kyle flew back east, went to Maine, and I've been just gradually making my way south to get away from that smoke. And that's why I'm here at Mount Hood, working our way up in elevation. Anyway, I'll tell you some more about my misadventures with the PCT out here as we go on. But before we get too far into the adventure, I'd like to thank my sponsor for this video, Chomps. Chomps is a family-based business that makes high-quality, healthy, protein-based snacks without any harmful additives and whatnot. If you have been watching my channel, for those of you out there that have, over the years, you've seen these before. I've taken them on many a backpacking trip with me. In fact, it was actually a viewer years ago that sent me a box of these in the mail because it was her favorite snack. And it quickly became one of my favorite snacks as well when I needed a protein hit or just some extra boost of energy and sustenance on the trail. All kinds of different flavors. My favorite, honestly, is the one that she sent me. Maybe that was just out of nostalgia, or I'm just a simple guy. But I like the original flavor right here, the original beef. It's grass-fed. They're quite tasty. They come in a variety of flavors other than the original beef, my favorite. There's a venison, there's turkey. They've got 10 to 12 grams of protein per stick, 0 sugar. And look, when I'm backpacking, I eat a variety of foods, and you should. But those of you out there who backpack probably know this as well. There gets to a point where you are just carbed out. It's very easy to just grab all these carb-heavy foods while you're backpacking. This comes in handy for me a lot of times because, like I said, it's shelf stable. I just throw it in my backpack. I don't have to worry about that temperature or anything like that. But when I break it open, I got a healthy protein-based snack, in my case, beef right here. And it just balances out my nutrition for the day, gives me a different source of energy other than just cramming, you know, whatever carbs in my face that I was previously. I really do enjoy that. And like I said, I am a sucker for the original, even though they have a ton of flavors out there. But I would be curious, for those of you familiar with Chomps, what's your favorite flavor out there? Am I missing out on something? Or more specifically, here's an interesting one. If you already are on board with Chomps and are well aware of them, what flavor would you like them to make? They actually said they'd be interested in hearing that from you. So you can pop that down in the comments below. In addition to that, down below in my video description box, you can get a link for more information on Chomps, as well as the 20,000 different locations or more that you can pick them up at. Definitely check them out. Proud to have them as a sponsor. So thank you guys. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to have one right now because this constant uphill is kind of getting to me. So a little hit of protein, and I'll be good to go. Because I'll tell you what, much like those clouds burning off, my breakfast is burning off pretty quickly as I make my way uphill here. heating up too, even though it's only 50 degrees and I just have a t-shirt and this flannel on. I'm getting warm with this pack on, which I'm still going to consider myself ultralight. I don't know how much I actually weigh. I didn't bother weighing it, but it's probably in the 10-pound range. Little extra gear on this trip because it is cold temp, so got a slightly heavier sleeping bag and some extra layers. Didn't bring rain gear because I'm hoping that's the last of it. And don't let it fool you around here. It's very lush, foggy, and rainy this morning. But the fire danger around here is still extremely high. And there's a burn ban like much of the PNW right now in place. So I got to use canister stove only, no campfires, nothing like that, because we're still at a pretty high risk of new forest fires, unfortunately. What's that? Location poster. Track indicates location of poster distance. Anybody know what that is? Huh. Interesting. And actually, I see another sign up here on this tree. It says, beware of Bigfoot, do not feed or interact. No, just kidding. I got a lot of people asking if I ever have Bigfoot encounters. The answer has always been no. If it's ever going to change, I guess that would be where I am now though, right? A lot of Sasquatch lore in these dense forests. A lot. It is dark and quiet in here. Some smaller trees up here. I'm not entirely sure of the logging history around here. Certain areas were logged because these are definitely smaller trees. And they got that cool bearded moss kind of thing going on. We're a couple miles into the trek. And the nice thing about hiking around here, most of it is this duff, really soft trail instead of exposed rock. It's just years and years of pine needles decomposing that make up most of the dirt around here, and it covers up and smooths out the trails pretty nice compared to something like New Hampshire where it's just roots and rocks, or Pennsylvania, Rocksylvania. I'll take it. Oh, there's another little view too. What do we got? Woo! Lots of clouds stuck up here. Oh, there we go. You can faintly see the road. That's, I guess, Route 26, which is where we're living along and where we came from. Little ridge right there. And we are just in the clouds. You know what, though? Just thought of this. I got my chumps over here in various sizes for a protein hit later, but my wife did pack me a proper sandwich. She wanted me to have a balanced meal, so 2 of them actually she gave me. Uphill juice. Okay. All right, so I got a proper sandwich, so it'll give me a little carbs, which will fuel me. And then later on when I'm carved out, as typically happens after a ton of backpacking snacks and food, I start craving protein. Then I'll have the chomps when my body starts telling me I need that. But yeah, maybe I'll walk along here and eat my lunch because it's early afternoon. It's not noon yet, but we're getting there. So grab that and go. Let's get back onto the trail here. Keep plugging along. Oh, lettuce and pickles. Banana peppers too. She really hooked it up. So I got my serving of vegetables. Thanks to my wife. She's good for that. Now I could just go for a serving of sun. Could really use that. brighten things up in here a little bit. I'm not sure when the ridge opens up and gets out of the trees, but maybe with a little luck, we'll time that right and get some sun when we get out of these pines. Must have heard me talking. She's coming out. All right. Beautiful. No ridge yet, but we got the sun part. Got half the equation. I'm looking at my map though. We're on a series of switchbacks in the final push up to not our campsites, but the intersection with the PCT. Yes, the trail that has eluded me since I tried to do it. Geez, that was back in mid-July. And yeah, I'll finally get to put my feet on it as we cross it, at least. A section that's not on fire, thankfully. But keep cruising here, knocking out these switchbacks, and we'll get up there. Whew. We've done about 1,700 feet of elevation in 5 miles so far. It looks like these switchbacks will get us up another 500 feet to the intersection, and then we'll take it from there, another few hundred after that, I guess. And so far, the logs on the trail are all cut, but this isn't the real dense log jam that I was reading about, so that should be coming up as well prior to this intersection. Or maybe it won't be. Maybe this is it. It's been cleaned up in the last couple of years. You can see if these were all across the trail, this is probably it. If these were all over the trail, it would probably be pretty rough in here. You got to figure a lot of them were propped up in the air, so you'd have to go under or over. Didn't quite get through this one, did they? No. It's okay. I'm getting my first glimpse of the mountain. I just went behind the trees again, but I think I saw some snow-capped peak through these trees. It's teasing me. Let's see if it pops up again. Getting a little tight on the trail. Getting a little moisture, but these pants typically dry pretty quick, and I do have sunlight on my side now. But yeah, a little damp. I haven't gotten another sight of the snow-capped Mount Hood yet. Some clouds rolling in here too. Clouds around here, they find their way towards Mount Hood. They seem to get stuck there for a while. It just kind of slows everything down. So we'll see what it's like. I think the trail goes that way, but let's carefully go down this steep, loose dirt. I'm not going to go too far because I don't feel like going back up it, but there's one of the angles of Mount Hood. Yeah, some snow up there. Now keep in mind we're into the month of August here, but it's still there. All right, there's actually 12 substantial glaciers and snowfields. Glacier being compacted snow that has turned into ice. Basically, glacier's ice. Snowfield would just be a permanent year-round snow feature. There's 12 of those around here. A little burst of wind again. And our first flowers. And when we get up to Paradise Park, as it's called, the meadow area that we're aiming to camp, it's supposed to be really good for wildflowers. And I heard the bloom has actually stuck around. So that would be cool to get to see that. You know, Mount Washington, back in New Hampshire, they have something called Alpine Garden. I've never been there during the bloom. I think it's a pretty short window of time. But Perhaps we'll catch some here in Oregon. All right, all right. Finally, got to put boots on it. There it is, PCT. I imagine that's what that sign says right over there. And this is our Paradise Park Trail, cutting across it. Now, this is about as much as I'm going to touch it, today at least. On the way out, I'm doing a different trail. I think it's the Zigzag Trail. So technically this is a long, skinny loop, 8 miles or so on each side. So the hike out on day 3 will be a little different. So I may touch the PCT again, but right now, I'm going to take Paradise Park Trail. Both these trails, the PCT and the Paradise, they kind of run parallel and they do eventually reconvene. But by taking this Paradise Park Trail, I'm going to hit a pocket of a lot of good camping opportunities within Paradise Park itself, which is not really a park. It's just called that. I don't think there's a swing set up here or anything, although it would be cool. But here we go. And still going uphill, but that's all right. Probably another 500 feet of elevation gain along the way, depending where we stop to camp. And we should cross, there's 2 streams up here. One should definitely be flowing, the first one I cross. Go this way. So that'll be a water source. That's why I didn't pack in that much water. I should have all the water I need for camping up here. Hopefully, we'll see how that's flowing. It is late in the summer here as we meander through the woods and towards the creek, which I imagine pretty much just snow melt runoff continually from the top of Mount Hood. And we got flowers, that's for sure. Very cool. And it is steady uphill through these flowers. No reprieve on the elevation. Oh, I see snow through here. Some wisps of clouds. Oh, a blanket of clouds coming. We'll see. Very pretty area though. Still some wet dew or leftover rain on the leaves. Trail's a little tight, but not too bad. It's chilly up here, that's for sure. I think it's still in the 50s probably, but low 50s for sure. I could see my breath earlier, but it doesn't feel bad when I'm moving. See if we can't get some water here. I know from the map that the trail crosses it, and then there's another stream further up that I'm hoping is running too, because that's going to be closer to where we're camping. Hopefully. Yeah, I can see the trail running across in there, and then we probably snake around this and we'll get some more meadow views and campsites in abundance from what I've read. Some actual rocks for the first time as we leave the water behind. I took a little bit of a gamble, didn't refill. I still got a decent amount. I'm going to try my luck with the next stream. We'll see if I regret that or not. Okay, a little sign here. Camp under trees, not in meadows. Closest thing to a regulation I've seen on the camping. Not to post up in the middle of the meadow. Also, where's the trail? Over here? All right. So we'll keep that in mind. Try to put ourselves in a little pocket of trees. It might protect us from the wind a little bit too. For this next mile or so, should be a lot of camping opportunities. Even my map layers, on my app have a bunch of little camp symbols suggesting areas. There's probably like 8 of them. So that's good. I'd like to get something with a more expansive view, so I'm going to keep pushing on to the second water source. And it'd be really awesome to just camp by that. Assuming I'm still on the trail here. Yeah, faint trail. It splits here for some reason for like 1/10 of a mile, and I guess I chose the lesser used of the two, but it'll get the job done. And I actually see a tent over there. So somebody beat me to it. See what else is left. It is midweek. I did that to kind of increase my odds of getting a decent campsite. So hopefully that pays off. Okay, a few tents over there. I actually had that marked as a cool campsite option based on what I read, and it does indeed look pretty cool and spoken for. So keep on pushing. I see the water is flowing over here, so that's good. 2 water sources. Not quite raging as much as the other one, but it's perfectly fine. Clear, good looking drinking water. So I'll take that. Hop across here. On the other side of this ridge, there's something called Split Rock, which does have a campsite by it. It's like a giant boulder that's split in 2. As I navigate the mud here, I would imagine if that spot over there is taken by several people, somebody probably snagged Split Rock as well, but you never know. We'll probably be able to see it from a distance, which will save us some time, and then we can choose what to do accordingly. Yeah, very, very cool campsites in there. Expansive views. I'm hoping to get something with, oh, hey, Mount Hood. All right. Hoping to get something with a view of, well, both would be awesome, but we'll see. At least it's fairly level hiking at this point, which is nice. I think our elevation push is done for the day. We got our 3,000 feet out of the way, and 7 going on 8 miles. Wasn't too bad. I was expecting the constant uphill to be more brutal, but it's really, I mean, let's think about it. 3,000 feet over the course of 7 miles. It's not that bad as far as elevation per mile. And hey, he's not stuck in the clouds, so that's cool too. All right. Fragile area, no wood fires. So I guess there's a general burn ban right now, but I guess at any time I've been seeing signs that you can't have fires up here at this elevation. But regardless, we won't be doing that. My hands are getting cold though. I tell you what I could go for. I burnt off my lovely sandwich that my wife made me at this point. It's pretty much gone. So I got some little mini chomps called chomplings. Probably have that with some hot soup, ramen noodles. So I'll get some protein, some carbs, and most importantly, some warmth, because it is chilly up there. And there it is, right there, Split Rock. And it is a split rock. Well, let's walk over and see if, and there's a tree next to it, so I would be in compliance, right? Some other potential spots over there. And the trail kind of splits apart here, fragments. And there's a lot to explore in this Paradise Park area, which we are firmly in now. So between this afternoon and tomorrow, this will be our playground once we get an established campsite. I even got some plaques on this. Split Rock. Not sure what that says. Don't see a tent over here. Actually, I wonder if this is not treed enough to be acceptable. There's a stand of trees. Well, that's one tree over there. I don't know. life and work devoted to the outdoors. William Hardesty, Charles Scholes, pioneered making known to the world the beauty and grandeur of these mountains. I'm actually surprised no one's here, although part of me is like, does this count as under the trees? I really don't want anybody pestering me, especially because I don't have the official camping permit document because the box was empty. Huh. Either way, I think I'll drop my pack and just kind of scout around. On that. I'll tell you what though, there is a steady, just constant wind coming across here from the direction of the ocean. Supposedly you can see Portland from here, but there's too many clouds. But that combination of steady wind and temperature, I just checked my thermometer on my backpack, 45 degrees. It's chilly up here. It's not really super ideal. Well, I think it's probably within the spirit of the camp by trees situation right in here. I think I'd be okay with that, but just the temperature and the wind, I'm thinking might be better. As much as I would like a nice sweeping view of Mount Hood back there, I think it might be better to, behind you over here is a stand of trees. Maybe just go down there and tuck in, get out of this wind. It'll probably feel a lot warmer, be better for using my stove and whatnot. So yeah, I think that's, whoo, that wind. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab my pack and head down behind you towards these trees. I'm thinking, hopefully, there'll still be a view of Mount Hood, but I'll be out of this wind. So there's a little trail that snakes over to the trees. Just gonna follow that down here, see if it's a little more hospitable. Because that wind, whew, yeah, it's a little rough. All right, I think this will do it. This is the furthest off the trail. Some of the ones I had listed on the map, the tent symbols at least, the trail like went right through the spots. There are some people here and there showing up. A surprising handful of people considering that it's midweek. Now, what I didn't check was where the PCT bubble is right now, which, you know, like the main group of people. If they're in this region, this is close enough to the PCT that it would probably be some great camping opportunities if you were doing the PCT. So maybe these are some PCT hikers. They are all moving this way, which is north towards Canada, which would make sense. Say just like the Appalachian Trail, at least from what Kyle was telling me, it's similar. About 90% of people go from north from Mexico to Canada. And maybe 10% go south. Because when we were going to do it back in July, we would have been way ahead of the bubble for that last 170 miles to get to the Canadian border. So, so he could finally check that off. And we were thinking we might be seeing some SOBOs, southern bound PCT hikers, that might be able to give us some information on the trail as we were heading north. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And at this point, that fire is still raging. It's a month later. It's gotten bigger. Things are not good, like I was saying before. So we were texting the other day. I told him I came further south down here, and we're thinking probably not going to happen this year. So maybe he's going to have to try it again next year. Maybe I'll be in the area again with the RV. I don't know. Bummer, but kind of related, kind of unrelated though. I think maybe we might meet up around Salt Lake City or a few hours south of that and it won't be the PCT, but maybe I'll get to meet up with Kyle sometime this season in the next month or two after all. But for now, I'm solo and I'm near the PCT, and I'll take what I can get. There's no smoke in the air. It's like 10 degrees warmer already down here. It was 55, it's 53 degrees. And that's still with cloud cover. So just being down here, I think there's some more heat trapped in the trees. I got a view, if you can see it a little bit there, coming and going, of Mount Hood right behind me. And then I got a view of the ridge behind me, or behind you. So I'll probably put my tent right here with the door facing that way. I guess I could have it facing that way. Yeah, see what I feel like doing. But either way, pack is coming off for the day. I'm done with that. Get this guy open. And got my new knit hat. Our RV, which we've been cruising around the last year, the country, is currently getting some warranty work done, unfortunately. And well, fortunately it's warranty, but it's getting some work done. So we're staying in an Airbnb around here for about a month. But anyway, the point of that is just grabbed a bunch of stuff from the RV willy-nilly, and I'm just kind of working with what I got. I wish I could use my hammock, but I still haven't gotten straps for that, but kind of works out because the trees around here, this situation doesn't look too good for hammocks anyway. So I got a new hat that I got from the local outfitter about 15 minutes away from Mount Hood Village. Really cool shop. But I got a new hat there for 10 bucks, and also something for my camping gear, which I'll get into a little bit, my cooking gear actually. That's pretty cool new little gadget. I don't have it with me, but you'll see. Anyway, in here is the same exact loadout pretty much as my last trip over in Idaho. So I won't explain that too much. You could always go back and check out that trip if you'd like, but same tent and all the same gear, because it should be similar temperatures and whatnot, and that's what I have. So let me get this tent popped up, and then I'll get on to some food, because I am starving. I'm ready for some carbs and protein in my life. All right, tent is up. Still got to put my sleeping pad in there and whatnot, but we'll get there. I prioritized some food instead. So for my late lunch, practically early dinner, whatever you want to call it, some mac and cheese, which remember, if anybody saw my Superstition Wilderness searching for the Lost Dutchman's Gold video, I had some mac and cheese that was in the little microwavable cups that you see at the supermarket. Well, last time I just poured hot water in there and let it sit. This time I just dumped that cup with the cheese sauce and everything into a little plastic bag, and then just put it in here with a couple ounces of water and simmered it. Takes up less room in the pack than those cups, but oh yeah, it's good, and it needs to cool down a bit. And the nice thing is, a whole box of mac and cheese just by myself is a little much, and I also want some of my calories to be protein, so that's why I got my mini chomps. Or actually, it's a chompling. Haven't tried this one before, but it's sea salt instead of the original. So I'll give that a shot. I'll save my jalapeno one for later, and see how that is. I haven't tried the sea salt. I hadn't seen that before, but they had it at the grocery store. Okay. Good. Just a little bit of salt. Tasty. 45 calories. Probably have another one. Got a whole bag of them. So that's good. Talking about my mouth full here, but the other thing that happened on that Lost Dutchman Gold backpacking video, if you saw it, was I ran out of fuel, and I usually bring these little mini cans. And that brings me to my new piece of gear, which I didn't bring with me because it's something you use at home. I went to that outfitter in the next town over, Sunny, about 15 miles away. You can hear some hikers, by the way. They're up here behind me. They're going up the Split Rock. They're going to give it a go. So maybe I'll keep my eye and see if they decide to tough it out up there, because I can hear the wind still whipping, but thankfully I can't feel it nearly as much down here. I'm still getting a little breeze when it shifts around, but it's good. But anyway, when I was in that shop, I was looking at these little cans, and they're usually like $5 or $6 a piece. The less bulk you buy, the less efficient price you get, right? So they're expensive. And the guy saw me looking at it, and I actually had at least one viewer, and I forget his name, I'm sorry, point this little gadget out to me before, but he said, do you use a lot of those little ones? And I said, primarily. And he said, well, check this thing out. It's just a little red two-sided valve, and you can transfer the fuel from one of the large containers. So this is 110 grams. I can get a 450 gram container, the big tall one that I would never backpack with, for like $10 or less. You put the receiving canister in the freezer, you put the sending canister out in the sun, then you get a temperature difference there, right? Gas moves from high pressure to low pressure. Higher temps create higher pressure. So you get that 5 minutes in the freezer, so you take it out, screw them together, open the valve on it, which looks just like this, and it actually, well, quite simply fills the can. Because in addition to price, and these are pricey, these little cans, you end up with so many partials because, you know, I'll tell myself, well, I'll bring the old canister with me, and then I'll use it all up, and then I'll switch over. And then always the night before the trip, when I'm jamming all my stuff in my pack, I'm like, I'll just bring the new can. And then I end up with all these partials. So now I don't have that issue. You know, you could just take your partial and add it to the next can, or like I said, more cost effective, just use a big one. So that worked pretty well. Forget the name of it. I think it's called a flip fuel. Yeah, flip fuel. It was about $30 at the store, but it'll probably pay for itself in fuel savings. And more importantly, it's just convenient and less waste. A bunch of cans. I'm wanting that. So I'm contemplating putting on my jacket at this point. But every once in a while, the sun comes out, and I do actually get warm. And I think my big old puffy jacket, I'd be sweating if the sun comes out, but I don't know if the sun's, when or if the sun's going to come out again. Mount Hood is pretty socked in back there. Can't see it, right? No, still can't see it. So I'm glad we actually timed it pretty well and got a view of it when we first rolled up to camp. But yeah, I'm gonna enjoy my mac and cheese, my chomplings, get myself fueled up, and then maybe just take a little walk around, wander around a little bit. Tomorrow should be clearer, more sun, warmer temps. So I'll do most of my exploring tomorrow. We're already working out into the afternoon here. So I'm just going to listen to some podcasts, some audiobooks, stick relatively close to camp. And yeah, but first things first, I'm going to have some mac and cheese before I do that. Oh yeah. Another strategy to this is you do get your pot all cheesy. I'm going to have dinner tonight that just requires boiling water. So my idea was have this earlier in the day, and then I'll boil water in here, which will kind of clean the cheese out. And I don't mind a little cheese sauce in my dinner, whatever that's going to be. All right. Well, maybe I'll wander around with my mac and cheese and got my second snack, beef snack. We'll take it from there. See if these other guys have decided to take Split Rock camp or not. A little bit of sun peeking out. Clouds have thinned a little bit over there. Not so much over there behind the tent. Mount Hood underneath. Got my food bag hanging up over there. There are black bears up here. No grizzlies on this trip, but black bears, yes. But it doesn't sound like the population's too fierce, but nonetheless want to keep my food away from them and the other small critters around here. There are, I believe, cougars, and there's a wolf population too, but I think the chance of having an issue or bumping into either one of those pretty small, so I'm not worried about that. But the food's up, and another cool thing that I noticed, actually let me show you. So the water source we crossed is over there, and I would have walked to that if I had camped on Split Rock for sure. But I was poking around, and down here I could hear some water, so I came down, and wouldn't you know it, I got my own little water refill station. And it's not even just a pool. I got a nice little drop there, so I can walk down and pop my water filter, fill it up right there. Super easy. I'm digging that. So I'm not worried about hoarding water at all. I can just grab it whenever I want. And I'm going to stay at this site unless something changes that I don't foresee both nights. So we'll be here 3 days in the same spot. That's pretty convenient. And that's my water filter right there. It's just the Catadine Be Free I've had forever. It's actually a new cartridge. I replaced one that I might have frozen, so I didn't want to risk that. So that's new. And right now, I think just going to stick to the immediate area, but maybe just kind of get a feel for our surroundings. We got our water source there, food hang. Over here, got another little view, and there's a little trail that goes through here. Some other campsites in there and there. I don't know if anybody took them. I've seen some people walk by, like I was mentioning. And I'm not sure. I haven't seen any activity up on Split Rock in a while. So I'm thinking maybe those people didn't camp there. Didn't really see if they continued on or not. But yeah, I'm just going to walk around. It is well into the afternoon now. I still got a couple hours before it gets dark, thankfully. But we're winding down. The amount of sunlight as my shadow shows you there. It's been getting longer as the day goes on, right? That beautiful green color. And that there, straight ahead there, so the summit's under the cloud. There's something called the Mississippi Head, which I've seen pictures of. That doesn't look exactly like it, but that should be it right there. So maybe that's the backside of it. It was created by a lava flow about 15,000 years ago, I do believe. It's kind of a feature around here. There was a World War II era bomber. I've seen conflicting reports about what kind. I didn't look at the actual NTSB data, but if that's it, then it crashed right there. It was either a B-29 or I forget the other designation or aircraft model that I read, but apparently their propeller is up there somewhere, but I think we would have to climb through some snow to get to that. And there's a trail down there from the other stream that goes up 1,000 feet, and one past here that goes up past Split Rock, and same thing, goes about another 1,000 feet up or so, and apparently gives you views of that Mississippi Head. So maybe that's what we'll do tomorrow. Wow, not bad. Pretty cool. Just the haze on the horizon, but I believe Portland is that way. It's about 55 miles from here or so, but no view of it right now. That is just a really cool mossy green looking outcropping there, isn't it? And I think I might hear voices up here. Yeah, just saw a tent, so I'm gonna give them their space. I'll just walk across over here, away from Split Rock. The tent's just by the tree. Well, let's go up here and see what we got. Got a bird coming in. It's in that current up there. Looking for a meal, I suppose. See what's over this ridge here. Another spot for a tent for sure. Not underneath a tree, so not technically advised. Bet you there's something cool up in there too, I would imagine. Whew, wind picked up as soon as I came over here. You can see kind of coming from the summit, which is was caused by volcanic activity. It is still technically listed as active, but informally they consider it dormant, Mount Hood. But nonetheless, it is a volcano. But this cut here, I'm guessing, probably glacially carved out. Some mile-high glacier years ago probably cut right through here. I know that's what gave Mount Hood a lot of its shape. And probably carved this out. And there's the other tents we saw on the way in, and our camp is beyond there. Well, let's get out of this wind, go back over and see what else we got. Oh man, yeah, that wind, cold wind. It has dropped back to 45 degrees even in my camp, by the way, but yeah, this is where we'll check out tomorrow. But I'm gonna get out of this wind. It's a little too much. So make a beeline that way. Get back into the trees. Home sweet home. Tucked out of the wind. That's a little better. Definitely not regretting my choice to be over here. A lot calmer. What's the temp at now? Got my thermometer hanging in this tree. It's still 44 degrees. So it hasn't changed too much. But the forecast was 38 tonight. And as I mentioned before, we're a few thousand feet above that weather station. That's the forecast for government camp, which is not actually a government camp. It's just the name of a town not too far from here, down at the base on the highway there. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised based on the math if up here we get close to freezing. So I'll probably keep my water filter in the sleeping bag with me. Speaking of which, I still got to do my sleeping pad in my bag, inflate my pad, throw it in there. But yeah, it's the sun has slid behind the trees there. I'm hungry once again. So I'm probably just gonna, well, at this point it really is dinner time. So I'm gonna grab my food bag down. I got 2 dinners. One is 1,000 calories and one is 500. I think I'm gonna do the 500 calorie breakfast skillet for dinner tonight and save that 1,000 for tomorrow. So I have that option to really have something heavy to eat after whatever adventure we do. Maybe go up and try to see Mississippi Head and whatnot. So that's what I'm gonna do. Get my food bag, cook dinner, enjoy the sights. That guy unhooked. Critter free. That's good. All right. Cook up some food.
The sun has gone away, and the thermometer indicates the temperature has gone below 40, so we're in the 30s now. Only about a point away from the forecasted low, and we got a long time before 4 a.m., which is probably when the low is actually going to occur. So glad I got my jacket, glad I got another hot meal, and a little breakfast hash for dinner. That's good. Yeah, this is nice. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, seeing if these clouds give way like they're supposed to, and that should keep the temperatures a little warmer for us. And also, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think I want another bite. Wow, I really spaced out there. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I hope tomorrow's warmer. I hope there's less clouds, but either way, I'm here. We're going to have a good day tomorrow. I got a good feeling about that. So I'll finish my dinner. It'll be dark soon. I'll get in the tent, get some shut-eye, and we'll see what tomorrow brings up here on Mount Hood. Well, now that I have my coffee, I guess I can officially say good morning, everybody. And a good morning it is. Those clouds are gone. It is warming up rapidly. Have my little mini thermometer hanging inside the vestibule. Looks like the low last night went right to 33 degrees. So 1 point off of freezing, but pretty close to what I was guessing might happen if the forecast in town was right. But it's going up quick. Now that sun's out, you can see it's hitting me pretty good. And this jacket will be coming off soon. It's already up to 48 degrees last time I looked at it. It's probably up to 50 now. And that's shaded in here. So that's a good sign. And so is the lack of clouds. Matter of fact, there's actually a peak behind you over here. A whole nother one that I didn't even know existed yesterday. It was just shrouded in clouds. But yeah, pretty nice. Feeling pretty good. We'll do some exploration today. I just have one pot, so I'm drinking my coffee first and listening to a history podcast, a little history on fire. And after my coffee pot turns into a soup pot, I'll have some breakfast. A little top ramen, flavor of the day, soy sauce flavor, formerly known by another name that apparently nowadays is a word you can only use to sell decorative rugs, not soup. But that was also back when ramen noodles were 25 cents a pack instead of 50 cents a pack. The good old days, price-wise at least. Yeah, nice view. So I'll empty out my pack of everything that I don't need for day hiking. That'll be our next task, so we can have a nice light kit to go up the side of Mount Hood here.
All right, let's get at it. Clouds are off the mountain. Airplane in the sky somewhere. A little bit of the moon up there too. Just faintly, just barely. Tell you what, I'll see if it's better up here. But the flies and other small bugs back at camp are really starting to pop off now that it's nice and warm. In the 60s, actually probably going to get to the upper 60s today. Maybe up here at elevation we'll actually get something with a 7 in the front. Let's see. Yeah, towards Split Rock. I saw it was a few guys that were camping here last night at Split Rock, like I was saying. They just headed out and back down this way. Just a few minutes before me. And I had a relaxed morning. Took my time, hung out. I don't even know what time it is right now, but it's after 10 for sure. This trail, it's only a mile long, about 1,000 feet of elevation. 1,000 feet in a mile is decent. So it'll probably be pretty steep, but maybe we'll get a view over there of that volcanic Mississippi Head feature and just kind of see how things look a little bit closer to the summit of Mount Hood. Whew. Waking up those legs. Gotta loosen them up a little bit. Checking my map. Like I mentioned, this trail is not really on like the official Forest Service maps or anything. Or actually, I forget if it is, but either way, there's no name. Some maps have this trail, some don't. None of them have a name for it. And I've already kind of, after Split Rock, I don't really see a trail. So I don't know if it's a separate trail to Split Rock or if it's just really faint. Maybe I'll just go around here, this natural progression, and try to get on the real trail here. We'll see. It's, there we go. Little faint line there. Ooh, tell you what though. Probably should have just walked up that hill instead of running, but I am hot. Top layer's got to come off already. Get this thing off. All right, well that feels about 100 times better. Already. And we are officially on whatever this unofficial trail is. Time to make some elevation gains. Maybe see down into this little feature here too. Looks kind of cool. It's that same kind of glacial flow I was looking at yesterday. Actually, now I can see it looks like potentially some little trails winding through there. I'm sure it dead ends down there, but it's probably something cool to do as well. But I'm not going to go down there right now. I'm going to go up this way. I think we're going to hug this little ridge and see how far it goes. It is nice without those clouds though, huh? A little bit of haze in the distance. Now remember, all the wildfires are up that way. And geez, I think that's Mount St. Helens that we're looking at there, that mountain that seems to be missing a top. It was back in 1980, I forget the exact year right now. I think it was early, mid 80s. You know, it erupted, did some massive damage. And yeah, quite a event that was. Now, the last time this erupted, I think the last eruption for Mount Hood was 200-ish years ago. Almost said 150, but I think 200-ish was the last eruption. It wasn't an explosive eruption. But it did result in lava flow, mud flows, you know. It was destructive, but not explosive. But hasn't been any activity since then. That's why USGS does list it as active, but informally it is considered dormant, not a threat. I think there's a 3 to 5% chance of an eruption in the next 30 years or something like that. Which actually, it's a lot more chance than I had back in Delaware of a volcanic eruption, but I guess not that big of a chance compared to other volcanoes. I think I'd rather see Bigfoot than be here during this thing activating again. Probably keep getting steeper and steeper as we continue. So the trail bends to the right over there, and it's kind of gradual over there. So I think the real issue, I'm jamming a bunch of elevation into like a quarter-mile section. So let's get to that bend. Woo, oh wow. Waterfall. Did not expect that. Not at all. Woo. Yikes. Just had a flashback to that part of Star Wars with that, you know, the sand pit monster thing. Don't ask me why. But, well, I kind of know why. Looks a little ominous. But there's a nice waterfall. And then, oh, we go down a little bit. That looks moderately sketchy. I'll be careful on that. Don't have hiking poles. But after that, it looks like a mellow. And it is some more uphill. And maybe another view down into that. That's pretty awesome. All right, so now I just got to navigate this. Keep one hand on the side. I mean, look, if I'm gonna fall either way, it would be, thankfully, that way. It would suck. Not fatal. And it's sloped that way. This, on the other hand, I'm gonna say that's 60-40. I mean, it's not a straight drop, but ooh, I wouldn't want to bump anything important on the way down. Oh, look, there's another little mini waterfall there. Wow, what a cool area. I'm glad we came up this trail. Now let's slowly go down a portion of this trail. Oh, you know what? Looks sketchier from up there. Smooth sailing. Now we just cruise across the surface of the moon here and see where this thing ends. Shouldn't be much further. Now I see why it stops though, because at this point, that is a lot of loose scree or just straight vertical or close to it. It's all scrabbly, loose stuff. At least it looks like it from here. So, point being, I don't think there's any way you're going up to the summit from this side of the mountain. That is for sure. But we'll get as close as we can. Man, thought the uphill was over. Tell you what, maybe I'm not going to make it to the very end. Go on my snack break now. I told myself I'm actually going to sit down and have a snack today. I never do that. I don't know why. All right. Chomps jalapeno. I don't know how spicy it is, but it's easy to eat on the move, right? Got a pocket full of these, why not? Tasty. And I finally took my own advice and actually snacked before I was absolutely starving, which unfortunately is typically what I do with water as well. Wait until I'm actually thirsty pardon me, thirsty. Which I've read before that if you're at the point where your mouth is dry and you're like, oh, I am thirsty, that's not your body saying you're about to be dehydrated. If you already got the dry mouth and everything, you already are dehydrated, or at least below optimal levels for sure, in a way that is impeding your performance. Anyway, I think we're almost there. Whew. Up here with the airplanes now, and you know what? I think this, without even looking at my map, I think I could walk further, but I'm on this highest mountain here, and this is just incredible. I mean, it's just amazing. Seriously. With the woods we came from, and let's see, there's a little green hump before that stand of trees. That's where my tent is, down there. So we went from Sasquatch forest, deep, dark, ominous woods, beautiful but ominous woods, depending on your mood and state of mind. And all of a sudden, surface of Mars with a waterfall, which I do wish I could get over there for a better view. I don't see why I couldn't. I mean, I've certainly done worse in Arizona, down there in Kofa Wilderness, where there was no trails. I was just picking rock piles like this and going up them. So I could do that. It really depends on my level of ambition. I've been kind of enjoying, real trails on this trip. But this view right here is pretty awesome. And look, I don't know if it's from an animal or another ambitious hiker, but somebody went up that, whoa, as I slip, someone went up that vein of sand. And I would say back down. I don't, unless that's a pass for a very ambitious, I don't know what animal, a deer? That seems a little hardcore, but hey, you never know, or some other furry bipedal animal, I don't know. But that looks like that would be pretty slow going. But those are tracks for sure. And, well, look, I even see tracks over here. I don't think they have mountain goats around here, but that's who I would put my money on to do something like that. But might be one of those things where you get up close to it, it's not as bad as it looks, as steep as it looks. But I don't think I'll be doing either one of those. I will be soaking in these sights for a bit, that's for sure. Wow. We made it to the top of the unnamed trail. Not bad. I think I'm just going to slowly poke around and see what other sights I see as another airplane comes towards the ridge here. Pretty good. A little extra wind up here. It's getting chilly, especially now that I'm not moving around. But as I came to the edge here, I did notice something. Remember that big cutout that I pointed out before that I guessed had something to do with glaciers? Well, the beginning of where it's actually deep and canyony, I don't think that's a word, but whatever, is right there. I think right before that we could probably cross over, and I see a little footpath there. That's probably my other trail, unnamed trail, on the other side there. We could take it down, explore the other side of the canyon, intersect with the main trail I came in on, and then cut back over towards the woods and camp. Sounds like a little choose your own adventure to me. I think I just might have to try that. So let's do it. Hopefully this is traversable. Woo. All right. Well, first I was thinking I may have got myself into a little bit of a terrain trap, but looks like we can do it. So that's where we came from, up in there. Came around. It's a little deeper cut than it looked like, but from here it looks like we can probably scooch, even if I have to butt scoot or go backwards, whatever. Probably get down in there and then walk down the little ravine and then link up with that trail right there before the cliff starts. Slow and steady. Because I don't have hiking poles. Really didn't think I was going to need them on this trip, but I didn't expect to do this. But that's okay. So let's do it. It's loose. Maybe we just do away with shame. Just get low. Anyway, if I break loose, I use my butt as a brake. Try not to disturb the flora. Sorry, little guy, I'll step over you. You'll probably be my demise, but I will not disturb you. It's hard to tell which of these rocks are actually solid. I think this one is. Almost there. Woo! Uh-oh. Well, that was not solid. Woo! Okay. We are in the little gully now. I suppose now we just hope that it links up easily. I'm not stuck over here. Because as it turns out, that's actually some other herd path, and it just petered out. Big cliff over there, so it'd be hard to get back to my camp. It looks like maybe a kilometer this way is the other unnamed trail for sure. Just don't know how crazy it'll be to get to, because it looks like there's a pretty deep cut right here. Oh yeah. Yep. Oh look. No, it's just a disturbed rock. I thought it was a hoof print. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going down that, up that. I think the trail is either on that spine or actually a little beyond it. Yeah, definitely beyond it based on distance. There's another little head, or view of the Mississippi head. So I bet you that other trail is the better way to see it. But I got a big old gully in my way, so it's probably not going to be doing that. That's very steep unless I went all the way back up to the distance I was and back around. There's the other mountain that I should know the name of. I don't know, but he's pretty cool looking. See some ski resorts. Probably cut through over there, it looks like it is. And the biggest ones are on the side of Mount Hood over there, the really major ones. In fact, I think it's definitely in America, I think for North America, it is in terms of lift served skiing areas. So like we're talking a ski resort with a ski lift, not like being dropped with a helicopter or hiking up to a location. But in terms of lift served skiing, it is the only one that is open year round in, I believe, North America. So basically, you know, well, so that's pretty cool. I could use a lift right now, but I don't have one other than my own legs. Let's just keep going. Hope I don't end up just stuck at the end of a cliff and have to backtrack this whole idea. It's basically straight ahead that we want to go. At least I'm getting some awesome views. I mean, that's what I read about this place. It's basically just come out and explore, and you'll find some cool stuff, some cool views. And I would say we're doing that. I do believe, though, at this point, I found a pretty mellow little traversal here. So perhaps I'll just follow that. See the water, the wetness running there. And what looks like a steep, steep drop off. I wonder if this is actually the top of that first water source we saw. Remember when we first got here? It was all kind of rushing down with Mount Hood in the background. I think I may have inadvertently got myself on top of that. Oh, wow. Well, I guess I was right and wrong, and mostly wrong. Still pretty cool, though. The water I was talking about is around that corner. This actually looks like it kind of dried up by now. I'm sure in springtime it's probably flowing. But we do get a real nice view of those cool campsites that we didn't get yesterday. And then our campsite over here. Now, how do I get down there from here? It's just one cliff face after another, right? Pretty darn cool. Can hear a lot from up here. Oh, there's somebody over at Split Rock. Straight ahead. Oh, well, that's Split Rock. All right, so now I have my bearings. Definitely created more work for myself by doing this route. But this is what I came to do. I think it's worth it. I'm going to try to cut back this way and get myself into that drainage safely, and then it should be smooth sailing. I'll be one of those footprints that I saw walking through the glacial cutout at the beginning of our leaving camp this morning. You know, like those footprints down there. That I don't believe I can actually get access to. And perhaps I could have avoided this whole little terrain trap scenario, a real terrain trap this time, by taking a better look at my topo maps. I could have done that, but honestly, I don't know. I saw that beautiful hill down there and said I'm going that way because it looks pretty. I had some false confidence, but yeah, I think I got to backtrack all the way out of here and get back on that side. That's still going to be less work than going way back over there in that other ravine we saw. Putting in miles, seeing pretty sights, and some places that most people probably don't see. I mean, this is a popular area, and so more people than usual come here for sure, just a numbers game. But I would say of most people that come through this area, I'm going to say very few have been on this little peninsula mountain feature right here. There's footprints around, but still feels pretty special to have found my way over here. So pretty cool. And now I'll just get some more workout in. I still got snacks in the bag. I'll backtrack up to the top. Who knows what other little discoveries we might happen across along the way. All right, well, a little scrambling, and we are back on the other side. And just to put it in perspective, that bump over there is where we were. Backtracked all the way over, realized we could not get down this. There's the faint trail, came across, back up past the waterfall. I actually shortcutted across those dunes a little bit. Added some extra mileage today. I have to check what we ended up at once we get back to camp, which, hey, as the saying goes, it's all downhill from here, for today at least. Got ourselves a fighter jet of some sort. Had a feeling that didn't sound commercial, and it wasn't. Couldn't really get too good of a view on it, but I guess he's getting his hours in. Might as well do it over Mount Hood, right? See if he comes back. As we descend by much slower means. Well, The jet never came back, but we did. Grab myself a seat here. I haven't sat down yet today. Took all my breaks standing up. I just realized that. It's no fun. But now I'll sit down. Hopefully the bugs have calmed down. I got some little bug wipes, like the Ben's 100% DEET. And little packages, just a little wipe. But I didn't need them up there. We'll see if we need them down here. Skies are still clear. The sun is hot. Not terribly so because the air is cool, but the direct sunlight is pretty intense sitting right here. But I'll probably go grab my food bag. It's I guess the next hour we're gonna hit is like 4 o'clock. I think it's 3 something. I haven't really looked at my phone. Although I should look at our stats and end that track, right? So what we got here? Okay, so we ended up doing like 5 miles. Not too much, but considering it was a 1 mile of actual trail that I was working with, I turned it into a 5 mile adventure, roughly. And 1,460 feet of elevation. So pretty much half of yesterday. Because yesterday, after all my wandering around and whatnot, ended up being like 9 point something. And 3,200 feet of elevation just from walking all over here looking for a campsite. Speaking of which, definitely just going to stay right here. I didn't notice. I think there's still at least one tent over here. Nobody at Split Rock, so not as many neighbors today, but it's 3:30. So if there's hikers or if PCT hikers in particular do use this area, you know, they probably are still working on banging out some miles and whatnot. So I'll save that track. Yeah, I'm hungry for a hot meal. Had some Sour Patch Kids and balanced that out with my chomps between the two. Well, I guess anytime you're living off of Sour Patch Kids in any capacity, it's not too healthy. But the meat stick was, as I knocked this over. So I'm going to make some sort of hot meal. I got mashed potatoes in there. I got more of the mac and cheese. I know more carbs. And then I do have a chicken pot pie with a bunch of protein in it for dinner. But I'm not going to have that yet. I'm going to have something small, but something I can cook, so it gives me kind of something to do. Yeah. Tomorrow, we'll get into the details more tomorrow, but my plan is I would hike out this way. That's where I came from. I'm going to go up this way for, looks like maybe a mile, and then it runs into the PCT again because they run parallel. Then I'll backtrack on the PCT to that intersection from the first day and keep going on the PCT for a bit until I get something called the Hidden Lake Trail. I think I called it the Zigzag Trail on day 1, but that was incorrect. And that'll give us some new sights tomorrow and then a little flavor of how the PCT looks going through here in particular. See how much different it is on that parallel section than what we did on day 1. But yeah, I got some ants around here too, huh? All right, well, I'm gonna get my food bag and get going with all that good stuff. And there she goes, that big ball of glowing orange. It's been amazing watching the colors change around here, but that time has come again. Another day is almost gone. Got some pretty cool color back on the, well, it's fading now. It was a nice purple a little bit ago on Mount Hood, but just stunning. So I've just been walking around and just watching things change as the sun goes down. Got a couple hikers rolling up now. I think they're gonna probably go for Split Rock. I'm probably gonna go back into the woods, get some rest, finish off some dinner, and yeah, just get fueled up and rested up, and we'll wake up in the morning and see how the rest of this trail looks. See if the clouds stay away too. All right, not a bad day. All right, day 3, and so begins our sample of the PCT. No clouds in the sky. Whew. It is hot today. It's like 80. Last time I checked on my thermometer. Definitely wasn't as low last night. I didn't reset my low, so I don't know what it really went to, but it was only 48 degrees when I went to bed. But here we go. We're going to use this Paradise Park loop trail to continue on into some territory that we have not been yet. I did poke around a little bit over here yesterday evening, but right where this water crosses is new territory for us. I'm just going to go downhill a bit and we'll join up with the PCT shortly at the next intersection, which means then we will have to go back uphill just to get back where we were, but that's okay. Always need a little something in the morning to wake the legs up, you know. You can see the trail winding through there. Probably going to be maybe 10-ish, 9-10 miles today. So my plan was to get a little bit of an earlier start and not dilly-dally too much, but that didn't really happen. It's like 10 o'clock. I just was enjoying myself at camp, but I do have mobile breakfast and try to do some more protein today. So got my chomps for breakfast. I'll wolf that down on the go, and then later for lunch, when I feel the need to stop and hopefully sit, do some chicken salad wraps. I got some mayonnaise and some packaged chicken. Can you tell I'm hungry? Start off the day just blabbing about food. But there are views too. And that's the little outcropping that we were on, jutting out there. We were kind of in those trees. Beautiful day. Trail's a little tight, leading up to the intersection. Oh wow, there's a campsite. Nice little pad there. Straight out view. It's probably still got some wind protection, at least from 3 sides. Nice. No view of Mount Hood though. Oh no, it's still there. Always watching over in these parts. Although, as I say that, I think we're actually leaving behind the watchful eyes of Mount Hood. Speaking of watchful eyes, I had some sort of visitor after dark at camp last night. Heard a thump, a couple thumps. First couldn't tell, you know, was it deer or bear? I'm not going to act like I could tell that. It was definitely heavy, but it could have been a large deer. But when I went to hang my food bag, I was shining my light because it was pitch black at that point, except for some stars, no moon. And I saw the eyes looking back at me, reflecting perfectly off my headlamp. And there they were, just two glowing eyes in the distance. And they weren't, I really don't think it was deer though, because I've seen plenty of deer eye reflections, and these just, the eye spacing just wasn't right. They were not the right distance apart. Strange. Well, not really strange. But at that point, I think it was probably a black bear, because that I haven't seen the reflection of its eyes very much. I've seen bears, but I think always during the day. So this would be my first time seeing one at night, if that's what it was, but it just had a different look to it. Guess I'll have to check it out when I get home, look at some pictures of bears. Do they have wider set eyes than deer? Whatever this was, did. And strangely, it just kept looking at me and then actually came forward a little bit, and I didn't bother making noise. I didn't feel threatened. We just kept watching each other, and he came forward a little bit, and then he went off to the side. And on the other side of my camp, I went over and tried to flank him just for another look, but never heard him or saw him again. But you can be sure I hung my food up nice and high last night, and thankfully still there in the morning. But anyway, going into this shade here, definitely feels better. The temperature, it's nice. The first day it was like cold in the shade. Now it just feels comfortable, like a nice little natural air conditioning in here as the trail gets thicker and into the denser woods. Oh, sign, hiker trail stock prohibited up there where we were. You know, it's funny, it doesn't even say this is the PCT, but it is. Oh, there we go. Pacific Crest Trail. Trail number 2000. All right. And so begins our 4-mile amuse-bouche, if you will, a little taste of Pacific Crest Trail, which, as I mentioned before, long distance trail. Goes from border of Mexico up to the border of Canada, Northern Cascade Range. Goes through Cascade National Park. And that's exactly where I was supposed to be meeting up with my friend for that hike, but maybe some other year. We'll see. But the total trail length is 2,600 miles. 2,653, if I want to say. Pretty long. So, yeah, Kyle was just missing 170 of those miles at this point, at the very end, where the fires always seem to be. But cool trail. There's Appalachian Trail as well. Now, I'd be interested to hear any of your thoughts out there, because there's something called the Triple Crown. There's 3 long distance trails in the United States. They all run top to bottom. Got PCT out here, about 150 miles off the coast for its duration. Appalachian Trail, East Coast, runs along the Appalachian Range, primarily, hence the name. And then the CDT, Continental Divide, goes up the middle of the country. I'm pretty sure that's the least popular of the 3, or least used. But my question to anybody out there who's done both, I've heard, and I think this will surprise a lot of people, or maybe it's just wrong, but people say that Appalachian Trail is actually tougher, which you think, well, there's no mountains out there compared to the West, but I think in terms of toughness of the trails, maybe steepness, ruggedness, I'm assuming stuff like that, People do say, at least from I've seen, more people saying that the Appalachian Trail is actually the tougher of the two. Not that it's about toughness, it's not a competition, it's about getting out in nature. And people do these trails for all kinds of reasons. But I found that interesting, so feel free to chime in if you've done both. Actually, my friend's done both, the one who's trying to complete this, so I should probably just ask him, but I'd be interested to get a variety of opinions on that. Oh, cool. My wife would love this. You got like the bearded moss trees and the sunlight just poking through, just touching forest floor and little dots and dabs, lighting it up in between the darkness. Wow. Nice and wide and easy grade. This trail gets some use. This section at least. Trail's getting a little less hospitable. We're on the edge of a ridge here, and speaking of ridge, you can see over there, just barely, we're going to do a little U-turn. And unfortunately, after we get to the bottom, you can see the PCT, that little line going there, to essentially get back to where the elevation I was at the end of day one. But that's okay. And up ahead here, because I've been looking down at this trail section from camp the last 2 days, should be able to look up and actually see where we were camping. Oh, cool. I had no idea that that was beneath my campsite the whole time. Actually, my campsite was, yeah, right in those trees there. And that is right there. I just couldn't see it. Really catching the sunlight. Looks nice. All right. I suppose it's time to do some uphill. I mean, you can see what that is over here is this. It's really just a sandy wash that is trampled enough to create a shelf. So I want to mind my footing as I go, but at least it's pretty grippy so far. All right, wasn't nearly as bad as it looked. Already almost there. Pretty gradual, after all. Looks like the trail continues this way. Back into the quiet darkness of the woods. A little bit of a haze or mist in the sun, the air. I thought we were walking through a cloud a little bit at first, or maybe some smoke was finally coming to town. I don't think that's the case. I think it might actually just be pollen or dust or something. What do we got now? We're about, I don't know, a mile or so into the PCT, and oh my goodness. Look at that. quite the landslide. This right here. And you can see a view from the opposite side. If you can even hear me over this wind, I'm sorry. That's pretty awesome though. Pretty awesome indeed. All right, let's get out of this wind. Oof. I think it was some sort of dust because my eyes are all scratchy now. It's weird. Interesting. Pretty quickly back to quiet. What a difference a couple feet makes when you're along a ridge. And we pretty much are. We're shrouded by the trees over here right now. But PCT it makes a series of like zigzags. Almost looks like switchbacks, but it's not because of elevation change. Elevation seems to stay the same. I think it's just because we're going on the kind of jagged edge of this ridge. So we just kind of wind in back and forth at the same elevation for a couple miles before dropping down in elevation. Been passing a decent amount of people going the opposite way, and that makes sense because, well, it makes sense because I think they're through hikers on the PCT, because we're going south right now, and like I said, most people doing the PCT are going north. They all just look like they have very efficient packs. They're definitely overnight packs, but they're not ridiculously big. And so it seems like maybe the bubble, or at least a good deal of people, are here at this point, passing through. So I wish them luck. Hopefully they have some sort of, well, I'm sure they have some sort of contingency plan. I hope it's still a decent way that they can have some nice trails to get around Stehekin and that whole area up there that is just littered with wildfires. I haven't really checked up recently. There's an app where you can read up on updates and stuff, and even if you're not doing the trail, it's pretty fun to read it just to see what's going on. But I didn't do that prior to coming out, so I'll have to do that when I get out of here. Check up on the drama that is the Cascades in northern Washington. Got in the zone there. I'm up to 3.5 miles, and just remembered I haven't had my mobile breakfast yet. Energy was getting a little low. I counted on the map like 7 of these switchbacks. So I'm up to like 4. Make my way through them and keep my eyes peeled for this intersection, because I don't want to accidentally stay on the PCT going south. My wife would probably be wondering where I am when she comes to pick me up. Wow. Another landslide over there. I'm trying to balance out eating enough to fuel me today, but also I'm trying to save some room because I'm really looking forward to my usual tradition, get a little post-hike burger. But there's a place in town, Mount Hood Village, or it might actually be in the town of Zigzag, like a couple miles away. Regardless, within a few minutes of the trailhead where I'm getting picked up, it's called Raptitude. As the name implies, they sell wraps, but they also do burgers, like on a regular bun. And I can't lie, I already preemptively tried one, and it's amazing. They got a few different types, so that is just in my head as I go, you know, working towards that post-hike cheeseburger. They also got a coffee bar in there and a selection of beers. It's like all 3 of everything you could want, either before or after a hike. Oh man, look at that though. Another waterfall in the distance there. Guess we'll have to cross that and head back up the other side of the ridge. All right, I guess that was a well-timed snack after all. I'm thinking this might be our last real good view from the trail, at least on this trip of Mount Hood. So we'll bid her farewell. And shortly we'll be at the intersection for the trail away from the PCT. But look at that. So that's the flowing water that we crossed on day one with the waterfall and the previous waterfall just a minute ago. And hard to believe that from that water we just came up in not too short of a span. And that little green pasture in there, beyond it, but around that level, is where camp was, where we had the opposite view. In fact, I guess right now we're actually looking at Mississippi Hood, which I couldn't quite get another angle on. Pretty spectacular. Awesome to see it without clouds. I mean, I was here years ago. Before I owned an RV, we rented one with some friends, and the four of us drove all over northern Cali. We flew into Portland. We did Mount St. Helens to northern Cali, did like a loop, did a video on it. It's not a backpacking video, so it doesn't have a lot of views. Might not necessarily be up your alley. But anyway, it was a good time. The point of the story is it was very often in the clouds. We'd be excited when it came out of the clouds because we spent a good deal of time around here on that trip as well. So it was nice to see it totally unveiled for several days. I believe we're actually going to turn our backs on it now, which does give us a view down that way. That is the direction of the ocean, about 100-ish miles or less, right? Because Portland's only 55 miles from here. And yeah, eerily silent again. And I imagine once I get onto this non-PCT trail, it's probably going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just me the rest of the day, midweek, lesser used trail. Been fun to see the other hikers, but I think I might be alone for a little bit after this intersection. Well, here we are, finally, on the hidden lake trail. And as expected, not a soul to be seen, and you can probably hear a pin drop. Slight bit of the sounds of wind in the distance from the ridge, but that's tapering off as we go. And yeah, at this point, I'm fairly confident it truly is going to be all downhill. I even checked my map again. We got a steady 3,000 foot drop, similar to day one going up, only now we're going down. So for right now, it's a little steep, so I'm not actually going as fast as, you know, I would be once it mellows out. Plus, I have some occasional obstacles, as it were. Most of them have been cut, but not that one. Cruising along, about 4.5 miles to go. Enjoy the sights now that we're deeply in the forest now, and just daydreaming about that flame broiled creation. Whichever one I'm going to get at the end of this, I'm not sure. Last time I got a spicy one, I think it was called the rattlesnake. Man. Oh, yeah, it sounds good. Anyway, yeah. Not quite there yet. But depending on what condition this trail ends up being in, we are getting close. Yeah, this trail's actually a little messed up in spots. It's definitely less used than my one in on day one. For sure, seems that way. Just enough to make things interesting in the final push. Well, the flora starting to change a bit. Trail's starting to flatten out a lot more. Getting some holes in the canopy above. Sun streaming in. And you hear that? Haven't heard that in a few days, but yep, that is the sound of traffic. Which most likely means we're getting pretty close to the start of this journey. In fact, check this out. Another check-in box. Oh, and there's a trailhead there. Oh, you know what? I think this is actually a separate trailhead, but I keep going down to mine. Sorry, I got a false hope that porta potty down there. I thought this was it, but I think maybe I have to hike the road a little bit. Let's find out. Yeah, let me look at my map. Hold on, I gotta tell everybody. I'm calling my wife. This trailhead I'm a mile away. But I got a hold of her. So I'm going to send you, it's the Laurel Hill Trailhead. I'll share it with you on text, and then I will be standing here waiting and dreaming of cheeseburgers. I got my headphones in, so this is actually really dumb because, no, they can't. I just realized they can't hear anything you're saying, so this is just terrible content.
Okay.
Laurel Hill is like 200 feet away, but it's separated by a very aggressive no trespassing sign and some chains.
Okay. 10 minutes away.
All right, well, there you go. A little chaotic way to end an otherwise lovely 3 days in the woods here in Bigfoot territory. But yeah, that's that. Mission complete. I mean, she's apparently right down the road there. So I hope you enjoyed this little taste of Oregon and the Pacific Northwest. Right now, I think it's time for us to part ways. I'm pretty hungry, so I'm going to go replace some calories. And yeah, just really enjoyed this. So until next time, I'm Syntax77, and right now, it's cheeseburger time.